Welcome to another edition of Cranky Motorsports. I'm doing another update video on this 68 Super 12 Hydrotrac loader that I picked up yesterday. I decided today to start unbolting everything that was needlessly added onto the bucket in the back of the tractor, and I'm also trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to do with this particular tractor, the loader, and everything else. So stick around and let's talk through it. I decided to start off by unbolting all the random stuff that was on the bucket, and this is actually a bolt-on trailer hitch, something that you would buy that goes on a step-and-toe bumper for a pickup truck, and there's some angle irons welded and bent onto this thing to kind of hug the back of the barrel. I'm assuming they were using this to pull boat trailers or something like that around, and man, those booger welds are probably as bad or worse than any that I've ever done with a flux core welder. Not at all ample. You can see more of those crummy welds on this top bar for the leveling system on the bucket, and they added a secondary stiffener bar on top of that, which is not really necessary, although it really doesn't hurt anything either. The plate that covers up all the hydro controls and things like that under the frame is missing, but I already have some sheet metal that's traced out and ready to go for that. And then I'm also going to work on replacing the seat. I'll probably end up pulling this off and selling it. It's actually a pretty comfortable suspension seat, but I want to put a factory pan seat or a regular seat back on with the factory seat springs. Moving to the back of the tractor, you can see the 3-point hitch. Somebody welded some linkages on there to hold this counterweight a little bit higher on the 3-point hitch, and that's made out of probably the bottom 8 or 10 inches of a 30-gallon drum, and it has this trailer hitch welded on the back of it, which more of that really crummy booger welds. That thing's about to rip off the back of the tractor. So I don't know if the previous owner did this or the owner prior to them did that work, but pretty crummy, and really that counterweight only weighs about 40 or 45 pounds, so I'll probably end up pulling it off anyway. The rest of the tractor really doesn't look that bad, but as I go through the rest of this video, you're going to see that there are a lot of corners that were cut when this loader was put on here, so definitely something that I want to work on, and I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to leave this loader on the tractor or not. I'm probably going to end up taking it off, but let's get looking at the rest of it here. As we walk around this side of the tractor, you can see that this hub is really loose, the key is hanging out, and the seal on the axle shaft on this side has actually been leaking for quite some time. The inside of the wheel is completely covered in oil, and the wheel weight that was on this side of the tractor also has a bunch of oil on it. So that's also something I'm going to have to do, pull that off and clean it up, and hopefully a regular wheel seal, or axle seal rather, that fits a standard 6-speed transmission will work on this, because I have several of those. So this is the situation under the hood on this thing. I don't know if this is an old overnight solution setup or something somebody jury-rigged, but I'm pretty sure what this is a ABS wheel speed sensor underneath the engine tin with a GM HEI control module from a distributor and a Kohler coil over there with a single plug wire going in there. I know these work. It has a bunch of extra wiring, so there's a toggle switch up here. That was the power for this whole thing, so this wire would have gone to the battery, to the positive side, I'm sure, and then a wire goes through this loom down to here to give it power, which also goes down to the coil, and there's some stuff in here, so that I might try to get it running like that. The only challenge with this is if I want to test anything on this tractor, it has to have a battery in it. So I was also debating possibly swapping the whole engine out and just putting a regular Tecumseh in here that has the correct coil in it, or I could just yank all that crap out and just put a Tecumseh coil in it, because I have 2 or 3 of these motors that I know run, or I have a 12-horse points motor I could drop in here as well. So the clutch on this thing is severely worn out as well, so I'm going to have to do some work to this. I'm kind of thinking it would be easier to work on it if I just pull the motor out, but I kind of want to just, I don't know if I want to take the loader off first. It would make it a lot easier to work on the whole tractor if I had the loader off. Maybe I'll do that. The loader's really not that hard to get off. And I'm looking down here, it looks like those aren't the correct front brackets at all. That is some really cheesy, thin, holy crap. That's a 5/16 bolt holding the front of this thing on. Yeah, you know what? I'm seeing some really, really bad redneckery holding this loader on, so I think that kind of solidified it for me. I'm taking the loader off of this guy, and I'm going to get the tractor running without the loader on it. I'll fix the brackets and stuff that I need to for the loader to get it all correctly mounted on a different tractor. So I'll drop the 3-point hitch, take that weight off the back, and start taking off the loader so I can work on this thing and get the tractor going. And I'll figure out what to do from there.
Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
So here I started taking the loader off the tractor, and realistically it wasn't too bad. There was only one bolt holding the pump on, which was a little bit disturbing, and there's a couple of uprights that drop from the top of the uprights down to the front of the bracket that holds the pump, and then there's 2 bolts, one on each side of the tractor, that holds the lower frame assembly to the loader arms. So basically I unbolted all that stuff and lifted the entire loader frame up with my high lift jack, rolled the tractor out from underneath it, and then slowly lowered down the uprights onto jack stands so that I could continue working on the tractor without worrying about the loader falling over. Here I started taking off the subframe for the loader. There's 2 bolts at the back, and there's supposed to be 2 bolts at the front. Well, that escalated pretty quickly. I decided pretty much to take the loader off the tractor and figure out how this ignition system is actually wired, and I think I was right. I think this is actually an ABS sensor. Somebody took the original coil, cut the whole top off, took all the epoxy and everything out of it, and put an ABS sensor in the housing. 2 wires go to one side of the GM HEI ignition coil, and the other 2 wires, one goes to the coil, or both of them go to the coil. I don't know. Not a terrible setup, but I think I have one of these coils that's original, that's still good. I would rather convert it back to an original coil just because it's easier, but now I've documented all this stuff. This is the only thing I'm not sure where this wire went because it's been cut. But somebody added that after the fact for sure, because not original wire, not original connector, so I don't know where that went, but I have a couple of these coils on other motors that I know are good. I'm debating whether or not I just switch the entire motor out or I try to get this one running. I might just try to get this one running. Got to fix the clutch because it's a little wallered out. So I got a little work yet to do on this. I may end up swapping the dash on this too, because somebody had put the clutch eyelet all the way through the outside of the dash, so it wasn't even really that sturdy. This dash is pretty worn out here and up here as well. I think I have another one. I don't know if it's from a 68 Super 12 or not, but I kind of like to put this back to original with the original ignition system and everything else, just to make it a lot simpler, and I don't have to worry about, you know, things being all messed up. Probably try to get this muffler off. A little bit wacky. I don't like it sticking out that far, but we'll see where I go with this one. I may, and I stress may, put a 70 Suburban 12 nose on this. This may be Tow-Mater 2.0. Granted, it's not going to have a diesel in it because I don't have any more diesels right now, but I have a couple of options. I can leave it like it is with a Tecumseh 12 horsepowers, or I can put an Onan in it, which would be kind of cool to have an Onan powered Hydrotrac, but I'm not sure yet. So for now, I'm just going to keep tinkering on this thing and see where we go. Well, here's another quick, that escalated quickly shot. I actually got the motor running. What? Believe it or not, I took the ignition off of the, or the coil off of that crummy 66 that I bought a couple of weeks ago. And lo and behold, it actually worked. So I bolted it on here, squirted some carb cleaner down it, pulled it over with a rope, and it fired up. So this thing runs, sounds nice and quiet, like super quiet actually. If it wasn't for this stupid extension on the exhaust, I'd probably leave the exhaust alone. Pardon me, the allergies are getting me out here with the pollen and stuff. So I pulled the dash off because that dash is broken everywhere and kind of looks crappy. So I have a couple choices. This is another, I think, a 68 or 69 dash. And it's pretty complete. It's in pretty good shape. The latches and everything are tight on it, so I might use that one. I have another one just like this. I think the Hydrotracs, though, the bottom, this notch is cut higher on a Hydrotrac, so this one may actually not bolt directly on. I'll have to check that out. I think my buddy Jeffrey Katera told me that last week, actually. Maybe. I'll have to try it and see. But, yeah, I'm getting somewhere. Well, I got everything out of here. I'm going to fix the clutch. Not exactly sure how yet. I think I have another clutch bracket like this that I can replace this one with. I think anyway. I got to dig through my pile. I'm running out of Tecumseh parts. I would just put a Onan clutch tray in it, but the problem with doing that is I lose the position for my gas tank. And I have my new fuel line plumbed through the engine cooling tin. I have the shutoff actually set up so it works. I hope the gasket in this one's okay. It'd be nice to have that actually working properly. So I'm slowly getting a little bit of work done on this. It might rain here in a little bit. Not quite sure. It's a little bit foreboding. Can't really tell. It might rain a little bit. So I might just do a little bit more work on this and drop the hood back on for now and let it be. Loader's just sitting on jack stands for now. I might put that on a tractor tomorrow, depending on how much time I get and what else I want to do during the day. I always got like 10,000 projects going on, but yeah, it's slowly coming along. I'd love to have this thing up and running and driving around in a day or so. Luckily, the steering wheel was all loose and wobbly because somebody had it off before, so that came right off. I actually have I forget, it's 76 steering wheel, I think, off of one of the ST12s that I turned into a 67 or 68 nose. I think it's a 76 steering wheel, 76 or 77, I can't remember. I might put that on this, I'm not sure, only because this one's a little bit cracked and it was like kind of wallered out as well. So it was kind of wobbling around. I don't have the steering cap for this one, and I don't really care if this stays as a 68. Like I said, I have a 70 nose and hood I may put on this because I think this is Towmater 2.0. I still have the 26 1212s that I had on Towmater, and I still have the big hook that I had in the hitch plate on Towmater before. So this may be Towmater 2.0.
Well, hey there, buddy. My name's Mater. Yeah, like Towmater, but without the tuh.
That's kind of why I wanted another Hydrotrac, even though, again, this one is not a SS14 with a diesel in it, which is what the other one was. I think this could be pretty stinking good. It's a nice tractor. I mean, the grill's nice. I have a side piece, I think, still original, too. So I can always make this an all original grill and hood. It's nice, straight hood. So, if nothing else, I get some really good parts out of it. I get a decent hydro. I think this thing's going to run and drive good. But I got to finish up the wiring and the motor and stuff like that, and I'll see how it goes after that. Well, I think I'm going to end it here for tonight. I got quite a bit done. I was able to get the starter generator swapped over, the clutch swapped over, and welded some additional bracket, some support on the clutch. So this works pretty well. It's pretty good. Put eyelets on it, obviously, or had some before, but they had gone right through the side of the dash, so I fixed that. I trimmed the dash down, so that fits nicely now. Again, before, when I put it on, this little notch right here was about a ½ an inch too short, so the dash sat up too far and the bolts wouldn't line up. So trim that down with my cutoff wheel. Right now that's just sitting on there because I want to pull the dash back off and I want to rewire everything. This starter generator, I think it's good. I had it in my garage on another motor just sitting. I believe that one's good. I marked out the wiring on it, and luckily this one, the terminals are not all stripped out. So that's one of the best things about it. So I'm hoping that's a good starter generator. and I'm just getting the wiring and stuff squared away. So like I said, I'll pull the dash back off, fix all the wiring, tidy up the starter generator, get that all hooked up, get the factory wiring and everything plugged in where it's supposed to be. Hopefully this thing will be ready to go. And don't feel too bad about me taking the loader off this thing, because this bracket is what was holding the lower loader mount on the front on. That's a 5/16 bolt. It had two 5/16 bolts in this little thin 3/16 deep piece of steel that was bolted through the bottom of the mower deck mount. That is not how you mount the loader. It's supposed to mount with a bracket that goes through these two holes down below the frame and picks up the front bracket. And yeah, so this loader was nowhere near mounted correctly on the tractor. But the loader's in good shape, so I'm definitely going to be able to put that on something else. I definitely don't want it on this tractor, even though, you know, I've had discussions with people before about whether or not it would actually be pretty sweet to run a Hydrotrac with the loader on it, because you're not shifting all the time. But realistically, the Hydrotrac lever is on the same side as the controls, so you'd be fiddling with the forward and reverse and then trying to use the controls. I just don't think it would be that great. Not the worst thing in the world either, but all the bolts that were on this had a bunch of metric bolts on it. None of them were graded. So every single bolt that held everything on this loader, all the front bolts that hold these upright supports on, none of these bolts are graded. They're supposed to be grade 8. These are metric bolts. They're the wrong size. Ooh, I just noticed there's a big crack down there. So the sleeve that holds that pin on for the loader is going to have to get welded. I'll have to get my welder down in there and take the loader arm off and weld that up maybe. So it's definitely got a little bit of wear. I mean, the bucket cylinders, somebody drilled and put grease fittings in, which is good, but they're pretty wallered out, so they're pretty loose on there. But guys, don't take this as complaining. I'm not complaining. I mean, the way I look at this, I got a pretty nice Hydrotrac for around 300 bucks, and I got a complete loader that I think will work. I could put a drill on the pump and find out if it works, but a complete loader for 600 bucks and a complete Hydrotrac for 300 bucks. That's the way I'm looking at this. I'm still tickled pink. I can't stop smiling. And again, I feel bad if I bought this out from under anybody else, but realistically, I've been looking for a Hydrotrac for a while. This one's not perfect, but it's in good shape, and it's definitely going to fill the want that I had for a Hydrotrac. And I just can't believe that I got another loader. I think this is my 5th one now. I had the Craftsman GT6000. I had the Quickway that's on my SS18. I had another Quickway that I bought from a guy in Southern Mass. Sold that one. And then I had another Quickway, which is the one I just sold to the kid in Maine. And now this one. And it's just, every once in a while they pop up, and if you get a chance to buy one, they're worth it. They're great for a homeowner. They lift 450 pounds pretty well. You can move a lot of loom and gravel, and has down pressure and stuff. So I'm going to end this out. This is going to be a pretty long video. I know it will, but I'll try to edit as much out as I can. I need to go inside and cook dinner. It's about 7 o'clock on Friday night. I got some time tomorrow to do a little more work on this. I'd love to have that thing up and running and driving around tomorrow. We'll see how that goes, but I can probably get it driving around tomorrow. There's not a whole heck of a lot left to do. Like I said, I think I'm going to put a 70 Suburban 12 nose and grill on it, because I want it to look like Towmater. And I got the 26 12 Ags that I had on Towmater, which actually, ironically, will look pretty good with those front Ag tires. These are the ones here. These are Carlisle Track Chief, I think. Yeah, Track Chief 26 12. So those are going to get put back on this tractor, and it's going to be called Towmater 2.0 or Towmater 2, or maybe I'll just call it Towmater, because the real Towmater is no longer around. But yeah, thanks for watching Cranky Motorsports. Tune in again for another episode sometime soon. Have a great day.